G'day and welcome to my channel. Anybody that's known me during my near 40 years of brewing will know I've always advised against people using caustic at home because it's usually just not needed. It can be used as a last resort. There's other cleaners you can use, but I wanted to answer a few questions I had online, and this was originally going to be a Patreon only video, so it's a little rough around the edges, but since I think it's a little bit important, I thought I'd make it public. If you want to see more videos like this, please consider joining my Patreon. Don't do the stuff that I do in this video. Cheers.
Excuse the splashing noise, patrons, but what I'm trying to do here is I'm just cleaning. I got a new bit of equipment. I accidentally bought the bigger size than I need. It's not really needed, it's a filter, but I wanted it slightly smaller. I should take more notice of the size. I didn't want it 2-inch, I wanted it 1.5, but it doesn't matter. It's still going to do the same job. It's a little bit big for probably a single batch, but if I'm doing a double batch in the 65, it'll be fine. It's got a big mesh basket, or a mesh basket inside with little holes in it, and then a finer mesh around it. And I haven't used my plate chiller for a while, so I thought I'd run some caustic through it. I don't usually use caustic, but I wanted to wash this with caustic just for, I don't know, I'm mucking around. It's going to be interesting to see what it does to my, that's my hose I use on my chiller, and it's slowly become more and more stained. I don't think it's going to clean that, but we'll see. I don't think it's going to clean it much at all, but I might lighten it up. All I'm doing is causticking this, going through the plate chiller to caustic that as well, and going through the other bit of my chiller, temperature gauge. There's no caustic in it at the moment. I'm heating it up to only 25. I'm heating it up to 85. Now, you've got to be extremely careful. It's nothing. I've said it a million times. It's not something you muck around with. I really probably don't need to do it, but I just thought I'd do it. This has never been causticed, my plate chiller, and I've used it for years and years, as you can probably tell by the look of it. Not every batch lately, but because I was going to run some caustic through this, and I haven't caustic this system ever, so I just thought I'd run some through. Now gloves, once the caustic goes in, gloves, eye protection. I can't find my other, I've got big proper long black ones here somewhere, but can't find them at the moment, but these are still good. They're not as long, but they'll still protect my hands if I get any on me. Safety glasses. This stuff will eat your eyes and the skin and stuff. It's not very nice stuff. But I just thought I'd show you, but this is beforehand. I don't think it's going to change this much at all, and I'm not worried about it, but I thought I'd get it on camera just in case it actually does clean it. It's probably due to be changed, but this gets cleaned all the time. Just discoloured. Don't do this with kids or animals. If there's animals around, they can chew on the hose, or you've got kids around, they might stick their finger in it. Yeah, not a good idea. I forgot to mention that if you notice, sometimes when I'm chilling and that, because things aren't under pressure, I don't even bother with clamps sometimes. But using caustic, I've got a clamp on every fitting, every setting. Make sure your cam locks are shut and don't twist them because they can come open. Yeah, you don't want leaks or any chance of something popping, so yeah.
And just before we go on, I didn't film the addition here of the caustic soda simply because I just wanted to have both hands on the job, and I was only using my phone on this day. Always remember, when you add caustic soda to water, to add the caustic soda to cold water, and then you can heat it up. What can happen when you add caustic soda to water? It can have an exothermic reaction, which means it produces heat. And so when you're trying to add it to already hot water, you can get some adverse reactions where it might start splashing or boiling and spitting up the caustic soda, which is not what you want. So always add it to cold water, and then you can heat up the cold water.
If it looks different, it's because I'm standing on the other side of it. But that's been a good hour at 85 degrees, which is plenty hot enough. I don't know if you can read that. I used 200 grams in 10 litres, so a nice strong mix. And as you can see, the water is still looking very clean. So that's the first time this has been caustic since I got it, and this is, wow, I got that before Keglam was around. That's old. I couldn't give you a date, but well over 10 years old, I would say. So that's good. People freak about them, but that's still crystal. The steam's making it look grubby, but it's pretty bloody good. And so that'll be clean, that'll be clean, that'll be clean, that'll be clean, everything's clean. The hose is still dark, hasn't changed. Neither is that one. Didn't think it would. There you go. So what do you do now? Well, first, you're probably better off letting it cool down than trying to handle it when it's hot. So you let it cool down. You can use caustic over and over and over again. It's not like other things where it runs out. Caustic lasts for a while, good while. So you can sort of collect it and stuff. The ideal thing is to change the pH of it, water it down before you try to. You wouldn't necessarily want to dump it straight down your sewer down the drain. You can treat it and then dump it. And so then what I'd do next is, once I've rinsed it with water, just to make doubly sure, you could use some like Star Sani stuff, Star San or Stellar San or whatever, because it's a different pH. It'll neutralise anything that's left behind, and you're much better off when you're pumping to not use foaming pH, so Stellar San or whatever, so just some phosphoric acid mix and run that through it, and then that will just make sure that anything that may have been left behind after a rinse, or what if you've rinsed it and stuff, will be neutralised. pH strip. I should have gloves on. See, we're right up the pointy end. So when you want to dispose of this, you shouldn't just tip it down the drain. You should neutralise it to drop the pH back down around here between 6 and 10 or somewhere like that. And it's much safer to dispose of. It's not blue, it's into the purple region, but those three look about the same colour to me. And just to show you, so here's some phosphoric acid mix, just normal mix. Yeah, no, it's not that. 1 mil per 2 litres, something like that. Whatever it is. This is some phosphoric acid mixed up to what it should be.
So I'm jumping in here. What's interesting here is you can see that phosphoric acid, as we use it as a sanitizer, we want it below a pH of 3 to be effective. That's like your Stellar Sands or your Star Sands, and I'm just using a non-foaming straight up phosphoric acid, 85%, 1 mil per 2 litres. Now the caustic solution was made from 100% sodium hydroxide at 20 grams per litre. I mentioned it earlier, but again, mix your caustic soda with cold water first and then heat it up when you want to use it hot. So they are both at the opposite ends of the pH range. Now your caustic soda, of course, is extremely dangerous, whereas your phosphoric acid, even though it's right at the other end, isn't so dangerous. And it's not that they're different ends of the pH. You can have just as dangerous acid down under 3 pH as you can alkalis like your caustic soda that are up high. But there's a difference. You can have strong and weak acids. They can be the same pH, but it all comes down to how they dissociate in water. Now, I'm not going to go right into this. You can look into that if you like, but there's strong acids and weak acids. Phosphoric acid is a weak acid, and caustic soda is a strong alkali. You can have weak alkalis, strong alkalis, weak acids, strong acids. They can be the same pH, but they react to things very differently. So we can look at phosphoric as much safer to handle, although again, it's very, very low pH. Any stronger than that can eat into your kitchen bench, can eat in hole in your concrete. It's still very strong, and it still deserves respect. You still need to be very careful with both and wear appropriate personal protection. So what's next? I let the solution cool down, and then I try and drain as much out of every fitting as I can. I shouldn't have to say to be careful again, but this is the way I like to do it. You can empty the caustic solution first and then push fresh water through it. There's several ways you can do it. Once I believe I've drained as much of the solution out as I can, I then pump the caustic out into a bucket, and we'll deal with that later. I take the unit outside, give everything a good flush with the hose, run it through the pump, run it through the tap, wherever I can, give it a good rinse, drain it out. Then I put some more water into my Brewzilla, and then I pump the water through all the fittings, just like I did before. Once again, I drain that, and I put some more water in, another 10 litres. I'm jumping in again. Something to remember is caustic soda works much better very hot, up around your 80-90 degrees, and your sanitizer works much better cold down the other end. Heating your sanitizer reduces its effectiveness, and using cold caustic soda reduces its effectiveness. And you don't really want to be mixing them together. Phosphoric acid. I'll mix this up to 1 ml per 2 litres. And then I add my 5 ml of 85% phosphoric acid. Mix it up. And check the pH again. So I'm going to pump this through. That'll neutralise the caustic, which is really nasty. This can be nasty too, don't get me wrong, but it's no rinse. Again, you probably don't want to leave it. Then hook it all up again and run the phosphoric acid through. That way everything should be well and truly neutralised. I should also add these type of plate chillers are often soldered together, so caustic shouldn't be left in it, and neither should sanitizer. So if you're not going to use it, give it a good flush, let it dry, and before you use it next time, you can just sanitize it again. Another thing to note is now I'm wearing latex gloves, but I would not use those with caustic because they tear way too easily. You'll see in a second, but they're fine when I'm on with the sanitizer. So they're not good them. I just caught them on something and probably ripped a hole in it. These ones are no good for this sort of stuff really. Not safe enough. Definitely not with the caustic. They'll protect your skin, but they're so easily to tear. Alright, I'll let this run for half an hour. Non-foaming, so you don't have to worry about that. That was star sand, be bubbling up and in this situation it's good to have no bubbles. Stainless is lovely, but as soon as you start using it in the brewery, it starts looking grubby. I think I mentioned earlier in the video where I was discussing caustic soda disposal with someone on the interwebs, and they just said they just, water it down 50% or 100% with water and dump it, and it doesn't quite work that way. This is an example I'm doing here. That is around 10 litres of caustic in that pot, and I'm dumping around nearly 10 litres of water on top of it that I've been doing that rinse with. I'm going to speed through some of the footage because it took me a while to do all this stuff. So I watered it down with roughly another 10 litres. I sort of doubled the volume. Yes, there'd be little bits left behind in bits and pieces, but that would have been the same with the caustic at the first go. But you'll see when I take the pH reading, it's still way up there, over 12 pH. So doubling the volume has not helped at all. Also remember, besides that pH is logarithmic, so it goes up tenfold each point of pH, you're mixing it with water that's 7 pH, or 7 or 8 pH even. So trying to bring down something that's 12 down to 10 is going to take a lot more than just doubling the amount. Now I'm going to do some dangerous stuff here, where in the wrong situation it could lead to, bad situations or exothermic reactions and things, but I'm going to be careful, and I would suggest You don't do them at home, but I just wanted to make an example. I did a quick Google and I see what everyone recommends. Citric acid, vinegar, and I added different amounts, starting with small amounts, then a lot larger amounts of all these things to this water. I'm not sure what acid ended up making or alkali I ended up making in that pot, but you'll notice that it didn't change at all. It did not change the pH where I could read it differently on those pH strips. See, that lid doesn't fit in there anymore, and that just popped out by itself. That could have splashed me with caustic. It's dangerous. Now I'm going to get rid of this rag. So my next example, I took half a jug of it, a couple of litres, into a plastic jug out on the driveway, and I watered that down again, doubled the volume again with just tap water. Made no difference. I did it again. And again and again. And I've lost count how many times I did it. It was probably about the 5th time where I started getting a drop in pH. So it just shows you, if I wanted to get that whole 10 litres down quickly and easily, it's not quickly and easily. You need to use a lot of water. A lot. So it's just something to think about, especially if you're dumping near a creek or anything like that. Or you've got huge amounts. You really need to take care of it properly. Breweries will have settling tanks, and the really good breweries will have a sensor in the settling tanks which can read the pH and dose it with things, other acids that is a little bit stronger and fixes it a bit quicker and easier than I've done at home here. But yeah, look, I've done all the home remedies here, and as you see, none were very effective. The only thing that was effective was just watering it down a ton. Yay, we're finally there. There you go. Look at that. Now we're in the greens. That's much better. Ooh. Now we're in the greens, that's much better. But that took a lot of watering down. So, as I said earlier, I wouldn't advise doing this. I was just doing it to show that it's probably ineffective anyway. Cheers.